Hi, I'm Roberta. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to share another one of my kitchen hacks with you, how to blind bake pastry. Now why do we blind bake pastry? We want to make sure that the pastry crust is at least semi-cooked before we fill it so that it stays nice and crisp. Here's how we do it. Now if we were making one big pie, we'd need all of this, but I'm only making a small pie, so I'm just going to cut it in half and gently roll that up and put aside to do something else with later. Now I find the easiest way to do this is to use the base of the flan tin as a template and cut around it. Now you do want to allow a good couple of inches, it depends how deep your pie dish is, but I'll show you what we can do. So we cut, I'm going to allow a good 3 or 4 inches where I can, because we can always trim off the excess. And where I can't, we'll do a bit of a cut and paste and add a little more on. So there we go. Let's hang on to those offcuts for a moment. Let's get our pie dish and get it. And now, the beauty of doing it this way, if all goes to plan, is we can simply turn it upside down and use the pastry as a bit of a guide, the plastic, as a bit of a guide to lift it into the tin. Now it is quite soft. I'm going to pop it back in the fridge in just a minute to firm up, but I can also just use that plastic to press it into the sides, the grooves of our pie tin, our flan tin. And anywhere where I feel I need a little more, we can just, as I said, do a bit of a cut and paste. Because this will shrink when we cook it, so we want to make sure that there's a decent overhang. I'm going to trim it off, but leaving a little bit there. Actually, you know what? This has got so soft, and this is one of the things that happens with this beautiful pastry because it is made with sour cream. I'm going to pop that in the fridge to firm up before I trim it. That will make things easier. Into the fridge for 30 minutes. I'll leave the plastic in there just to protect it. We'll come back and see what happens. So after half an hour in the fridge, that pastry is nice and firm. We can pull off our plastic. Now, the pastry will shrink when it's baked. This is quite a deep tin, so I know my filling's not going to come up to the top. Therefore, nice and easy, I'm just going to trim off level with the tin. If, however, you're using a shallow flan tin, you're going to have to leave a little bit of pastry above, so that when it shrinks, you still have enough to enclose your filling. If in doubt, leave a little bit above. If you know your tin, you can do it this way. So we've got a nice smooth edge. Now, we line it up. First of all, we prick the base with a fork, just so some of that air can escape as it heats up. And then we line it with some baking paper and either commercial pie weights, or in this case I'm just using some dried beans. And you can use the beans several times. You don't want to eat them once you bake them, but all we want is something that will hold down that paper in the pastry. I used coffee beans once. It smelt fabulous. They were old beans that I couldn't grind for coffee, but gee, they smelt good as pie weights. So there we go. I'm going to pop that in the oven for about 10 minutes and then we'll see how it's doing. So after about 10 minutes, we can remove our paper and our weights or beans. And as I said, if they're weights, they can certainly be reused, but so can the beans. Now, you can see what I said about that shrinking. It shrunk down a little bit, but I know my filling's not going to overflow, so that's fine. But if I had a more shallow tin, I would definitely need to have had some overhang so it had room to shrink down. I'm going to pop that back in the oven for about 5 minutes just to start to colour, then we can pop our filling in. So there we are, after 5 minutes you can see our crust has started to colour up nicely, ready to go with whatever filling you want to put into it. I'm going to make pecan pie. Happy blind baking.